to What's Growing On. I'm here today at the beautiful Dixon Gallery and Gardens. This place is such a treasure to the Memphis horticultural community. It's a great place to come and walk and be inspired and learn throughout the year. So I'm sad that Booker, my co-host, couldn't be here today, but I'm going to get to catch up with a couple of my old friends, Kyle McLean and Dale Skaggs, and to learn about some of the best practices and how they keep this garden beautiful as far as rejuvenating their perennials, their annuals, and even keeping their lawn looking great. So let's go meet them. Welcome back to What's Growing On. I'm here with Dale Skaggs in the Dixon's Cutting Garden. So Dale is a manager of horticulture, and I'm so glad to have you because I've got a lot of questions about cutting today.
All right.
So at home, I've been noticing my plants, it's midway through the summer, they start looking pretty sad and raggy. And I started reading about the Chelsea chop, but I think I missed it. Am I too late to do anything about it?
Well, there's the old adage that when's the best time to prune, and prune when your shears are sharp. Plants respond to pruning. Pruning is not punishment. Pruning, plants grow, so growth follows the cut. So when you cut something back, it already has the roots, and so it pushes the foliage. So a lot of times, with our warm nights and the end of July, which, the paniculata hydrangeas are in bloom, the perennial border's getting a little tired. June is really the month May and June are the month for perennials here in the Mid-South. But if you cut a lot of things back, a lot of these newer perennials are bred so that they have extended bloom times, or they repeat bloom. But in order to initiate that, a lot of times you need to cut things back. So certainly deadheading is in order. I think the Chelsea chop is generally cutting things back by about a third, and it's associated with the Chelsea flower show to get things to rejuvenate and look happy again.
Which is in May, and to me, that's when everything was looking great.
That's great for England, but not for us, right? So we're going to do the we'll do the Dixon chop. As you see, some of these flowers are spent; they're not going to do anything more. So we can just reach in and take some of these out.
Okay, so that far down there, you've cut about a third at least of that off, right?
Yeah, just taking the stems back, it makes the plants more compact. They're less apt to flop. If you look here, you see the buds coming on. There's new buds ready to replace those. So if you come in here and you cut these back, any of the dead spent flower heads, that's always a good idea.
Right, because in general, the plant is using up energy to make those seeds, and any energy that it's not using to do that, then it'll put into
It'll say, I need to reproduce, I need to make more seeds, so it'll throw out more flowers a lot of times. Not true of everything, but most of the modern perennials will repeat bloom if you give them a good chop.
For us, we can have things bloom until November, late in the season.
Exactly. The hardest time is in July when you have those warm nights. The colors on the flowers are not as intense because it's so warm. It's 80 degrees in the evening, and that really
seems sad though to cut a flower just because the colors aren't as intense out here.
Right.
But I guess if you know you're doing it for the betterment of the plant later on.
Yeah. What I find is people are apprehensive about cutting plants, and like I said, it's not punishment. It encourages the plant. It's part of what we do as gardeners to sort of shepherd the plant to do what we want it to do. And these white cone flowers here, as you can see, if you look out here, some of these, that when they start to turn black like this, you can go in and cut. And you can see there's a second bloom there. You could come in and just cut here, and that would give you that second bloom to take place. But I think you're going to see more blooms thrown off on these. This is White Swan, which is an old classic. But you can see some of these flowers over here starting to look bad. They start to turn black. That means I would just reach down in there and cut that on back. And, when you're done, you can see all this new basil growth. You can even cut off the flowers that are there. Don't be afraid. You're going to get more flowers later on. And if you want to, you can bring these in and use them in an arrangement. You can go ahead and cut back hard like that. And there you go. Now you can take those. We use this for cutting garden for flower arrangements, so you can cut these things back hard
all the way.
So how there is no wrong way to do it. Most people just want to go in, like I said, and take out the spent flowers, and that's a good way if you're scared to cut. But my thing is, don't be afraid to cut. See how this is flopping? It's starting to flop over the rain. If you look in here, you can see new flowers starting. If you look right in here, so I'll cut back to where that new flower is starting, and they'll keep that plant from.
Okay, so rather than just picking like a third and cutting the whole entire thing, really be more selective about where your cuts are?
This is more of the Chelsea chop, which is cut everything. But deadheading is a different process, and that's taking out the spent flowers so that they'll bloom more.
So did you cut this all the way back like that. About how long would you expect for it to come back and start?
I would say
flowering
in 3 to 4 weeks it'll be back
Okay,
in
so we've
action.
still got plenty of season left.
Plenty of season left. And like these buddleias, you don't have to, they're pretty tidy. You don't really have to go in and cut. But if you look down in here, you can see all these new flowers coming. Let's just get that old stuff out of the way. And it takes a little bit of maintenance and grooming, but it sure pays off. It'll pay dividends. So you can see all these new flowers coming on this buddleia. This is one of the Pugster series of buddleia.
So did you cut those right at the base of where the flower was blooming, or did you cut?
Yeah, on this particular example, I'm going back in and I'm cutting right at the base where it's coming out. And so I'm taking it back to there because I don't want to mess up the flowers that are coming on. If you look at these little ones coming on,
Oh yeah.
I don't want to mess up the new flowers coming on. But a buddleia will bloom all season for sure. Some of these other things, these Becky daisies, if you cut them back, you'll get a second bloom. As I said, you can see the flowers coming on.
Do you think it's worth any of these that you're cutting back? Some of them are pretty dark, like those are starting to go to seed. Like, could you save those for seed, or because you're cutting them really before they finish doing their thing, it's not?
A lot of the modern hybrids, some of them are sterile, so they don't put off seeds. Like the buddleias, they bred to be sterile because in certain parts of the country, buddleias are invasive. So they bred those so that they don't set seed.
Right.
But some of the other plants, you can save the seeds on them. You can cut them when they're starting to turn black like this and are brown, and you can cut these. You can put them in a paper bag and let them mature the rest of the way, and then break them up and cut them. But
and then just try to
keep in mind though, these are open pollinated. So if you have multiple cone flowers around, there's no telling what you're going to get.
It'll be a science experiment.
It's a science experiment. You're not going to get the exact same necessarily white flower. That you would have. But a lot of things like salvias, like all these salvias, these things will keep going and going and going. And I would go in here and cut some of these blooms off here, and you got new ones coming on. Anything that's 2/3 of the way, they start at the bottom and work their way up.
Okay, so just cut right.
I would just come back here, and if you look, there's another flower right there behind it. So if you take that off, you got another one right behind it. So it's just going to really tidy it up.
Looking better already.
Yeah. So
Dara has some more questions about potted things. Will you come back and talk to us about those?
absolutely.
We'll be right back with What's Growing On. Welcome back to What's Growing On. I'm back here again with Dale Skaggs, the Gardens Director of Horticulture, and we've added in Kyle McLean, the grounds manager. So thank you for being here, Kyle. So this was one of my questions. I went on vacation last week, and I came back to this. So sad. All of these dead leaves here, and I was like, should I just cut it? But can you cut it back all the way to the bottom? Does it need bereaves to grow? What should I do with it?
Well, with annuals, they're more forgiving. We looked at the perennials earlier, but the annuals are a little bit more forgiving perennials. So, I would say conservatively, you could cut it back a third, no problem. And you can see where there's some new buds forming as well.
If someone decided to cut like little new buds right there,
I just might have to sacrifice a flower or two. Just don't be afraid to cut. Just go in there and jump in there, and it'll be more compact, less likely to flop. You'll have more blooms. You'll just have to go through a short period where you have no
where it looks really
flowers.
Because this annual should last me pretty far into the fall as well, right?
Absolutely. You keep trimming annuals, and a lot of people in pots, in containers, they plant these containers with the thriller, the spiller, spiller, what is it?
Filler, yeah.
And so they plant these containers that are fabulous when they put them in, and then they outgrow everything. You have to get in there and periodically chop on them, and they'll be afraid to cut because remember, growth follows the cut, and you get more blooms, more compact habits. So,
and so some of these that I'm still leaving, they're still like trying to produce seeds.
Yeah, if you're fastidious, you can go in
every day, little leaf off.
Every little leaf off. But the main thing you want to do is just reduce the size of it, take out those flowers so that it'll continue to bloom.
Okay.
But give it good water.
I guess it already looks a little better. Maybe we'll see how that works out.
Here, let's do this. So one more chop there. How about that? One more there. Every year.
Okay.
So we didn't cut it all the way back to the ground, but we left about a third of it.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to go home and try to see what else I can do on some of my pots, if I can help things look better in another couple months.
The coleus, they always get bigger than you think. Coleus are foliage, so you don't have to worry about the flowers. They will flower, but you're really worried about the foliage. And this is Wicked Witch coleus, dark color. And these get a little bit more sun. There's variance in the amount of sun tolerance that coleus have. But So these start to really flop and wilt really bad in the late afternoon, and we have to keep a lot of water on. They're requiring tons of water. So the reason we're going to cut these back is not only to make them more compact, but the leaves give off water and the roots take up water. So what we're going to do is during this hot summertime, they love to grow when it's hot. So we're going to take these back. They'll flush out, they'll grow more, and it'll help it make it through the drought stress because you're not giving off foliage, giving off water with the foliage.
Okay.
So we're going to go in, and you can go as hard as you want, but we're going to just start going in and taking some of these out, right?
Yeah. We know, again, these are grading flower arrangements too, for some color.
Yeah,
So.
you know, they have a square stem. They're in the mint family, so they're very easy to. If you wanted to make more plants, you just strip that off, and you could cut those leaves back just a little. Stick that in some rooting hormone or put it in your window in some water, and you'll get roots all along there.
Okay, go home, thank you. Wicked Witch.
Have your own Wicked Witch. I don't know. You got to watch though. Sometimes these things are patented, and you're not supposed to propagate them. But I think if you're doing it for your own, for the sake of science, right?
Yes, a little experiment there.
So anyway, yeah, let's just go and cut all this back.
So Kyle, you're using this shade more so, but they were kind of the same size. Do y'all have to, that just how they grew?
The Dixon is not willed as much.
Mhm.
I was going to say now's a good time to fertilize them again. You probably fertilize them when you first plant them, and that's second. And they'll last until the 1st of October. Can we get a free?
Wow. So yeah, y'all are taking off quite a bit.
Chop. Don't be afraid to cut.
So besides coleus, what are some of the other annuals like this that are good candidates for really a hard cutting back?
Well, you know, in containers, we use a lot of the sweet potato vine, which we'll look at in just a minute. And those always need pruning to keep them in bounds. Very common plant used in containers. But these will thicken up, bush up, and be very healthy after the pruning. Let's go in here and take some more of this off. But I find that coleus always get bigger than what the books say they're going to grow. So tidying up containers and annual plantings is something that's quite often overlooked. It makes a huge difference in the way things present themselves.
Where you work so hard to bid them to the size where they look pretty that you feel bad, but you just have to know that it's going to pay off later.
When you're cutting stuff back like this is what Kyle and I refer to as fine horticulture.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, it's things that we like to get to that we might not have time to working on a big 17-acre public garden. You don't have time to, but it's kind of the details. And, you know, God is in the details. So.
Okay. So you're not only doing it from height from the top, you're going on the sides too and cutting.
I'm just bringing it all in, and it'll be less of a watering chore, and it won't wilt back as far, and it's going to be a thicker, bushier, more robust plant as a result. If you think about the nurseries, when they grow plants, they're constantly cutting back, fertilizing. It just makes plants robust and healthy.
So this was just one plant in this pot that you planted?
I believe so, yes.
Wow. So Kylie's told me earlier that he even sometimes will cut plants back before you even plant, you know, these annuals, just to kind of give them that head start from the beginning.
Yeah, sometimes when we get annuals, we plant our annuals later than most because we have to deal with the tulips and getting them out in the spring.
Right.
So we plant our annuals later. So a lot of times they've been at the nursery longer and they're leggy when we buy them. So we cut them back when we plant them. You know, annuals are so easy because they grow so fast. They do their thing in one season. So they're going to grow and fill in.
Okay. Well, I think I have some work to do on a lot of my annuals.
Get the stick.
That's great. All right, we're going to learn a little bit more from both Dale and Kyle when we're back. Welcome back to What's Growing On. I'm back here at the Dixon with Kyle McLean, the grounds manager for the Dixon, and I would imagine in your job, we've looked at all these great flowers, but there's also a huge, beautiful lawn here. So that's probably quite a bit of your responsibility in keeping this looking like this.
It is. We've just done some work on it here this summer. So
It's so pretty. I mean, it just like walking through when you come to this and you just see this lush lawn. It's just, it makes you feel a certain way. I love it. Very elegant out here. So I recently gotten more interested in lawns. I always just had kind of a weed lawn, and as long as I kept it cut and it looked green, I was okay with it. But I don't see a single weed out here. And in fact, I thought this was dead grass that I'm standing in, but it's not.
It's not, it's sand. We did some top dressing of sand on the lawn. We actually put about 80 tons of sand on this whole area. It's a little over an acre, and that helps level out any low spots in your lawn. And it also,
Will grass grow in this?
it will grow through it, and actually it gives it a great foundation to grow in because it's so loose. You do need to water, you do need to fertilize, and just a regular fertilizing like they're doing every month on warm season grass.
So if some of our viewers have a low spot in their yard, they can just go, like, do you just buy regular, like, construction sand, or?
I would not use a real fine sand. We're using, this is coarse red sand. The golf course uses a special white sand that's called top dressing
Right.
sand.
But if you were going to a box store, you would just look for something
You
that
probably use play sand.
okay.
But the coarser the better. If you can find a coarser sand, and the red, it does show up more than the white, but eventually the grass grows over and you won't even notice it's there.
So just sprinkle it in and let things happen.
Let it go. It helps with compaction and it helps with drainage in the soil as well.
So you've bought your sand from wherever you've gotten it. How do you just kind of scatter it? How do you rake it on?
You can spread it, then take a hard rake and level it out. We use a large top dressing machine that throws the sand out because of this big area.
Me at home, like, how much sand would you put?
Half an inch to an inch.
Okay. And then how long is it going to have to look like this? How quickly will that rust?
Well,
dry?
if you're having it fertilized or you fertilize it, by the end of the summer, this will all be grown over and full. So in a month, you'll notice, because the grass is actively growing right now, it's going to fill in very quickly.
Yeah.
Bermuda is going to be faster than zoysia, but they both will fill in.
Well, that'll make it so much nicer just for people walking on, not to have all of that stuff. Well, I know this time of year, like, you have the special challenges of keeping it watered too. What other things in the summer are you doing to keep this lawn healthy?
Well, we're also watering deeply, not short, frequent, but more longer, deeper. And then also we keep our grass in the heat of summer a little bit higher. You can keep it shorter, but you're gonna have to water it more. The other thing is right now, you don't want to put any 2,4-D products. Those mimic hormones, natural hormones.
Say that in English.
So different 2,4-D products that are used to kill broadleaf weeds.
Okay.
If you're doing, none of the lawn companies are spraying that. Now you can go and spot spray, but it can volatilize in the summer. It can become a gas, and they call it walking. It'll walk and it can damage a tree or another plant.
So if it has some weeds, you could get something and just spray real
spray
quick.
by a little spot sprayer. Now's the time to control grassy weeds and nut sedges. And you can get products like Sedge Hammer for nut sedge. Just be careful when you're around your plants, your perennials and plants, ornamental plants in your beds.
Okay.
If you're doing it in the beds.
Back to the watering, you said water deeply. So if you were gonna water, like, how long do you have to water to get it watered
Well,
deep?
you want 1 inch a week of water. You can take like a tuna can or something, put it out and run the water and see how long it takes to fill it up and measure it, maybe 1/2 inch or 1 inch, and then you'll know how long. And I would do that probably 3 times a week if we're not getting any rain. Right now, we're kind of in a drier area where we have all this rain in the spring.
Yeah, it got used to being all lush and then poof.
So.
Okay. Well, so I was wondering about timing because with mine, I've been working to get the weeds out, but then I've got a lot of bare patches, and this spring, I was gonna get some seed and get out there and put the seed out, but I read this is a shadier area that maybe the fall is a better time.
It is a better time. Your cool season grass like fescue, which you can grow in Memphis, but it's a challenge because it doesn't like the heat. That, first of all, definitely needs moisture in the summer, and you mow it as high. I have a little bit, and I raise my mower as high as I can on my push mower to 4.5 inches. And we put a fungicide in the summer on ours, but it needs no fertilizer right now. You could do mill organite, something like that, that's low in nitrogen and has iron in it, but you have to be very careful. If you put too much, you'll stress it.
Well, if it's harder in those terms to deal with them, is that just, why do we even use it? Is that just because that's really the only one you can use in some of the shadier spots?
That is, and it's evergreen.
So every fall, y'all, to your fescue, you add a little bit more seed?
We do. You overseed it, and if you can take a, you could core aerate. You don't want to core aerate it now, but we core aerated the warm season. Pulling a plug out that's like the size of your finger.
Right.
And then we filled it back with the sand, but you could use some kind of organic material. A lot of people like to get up those little plugs, that the cores, they call them, that come out. We can rent from one of the box stores a core aerator, or just go through and it pulls it out.
So that's better than getting like those things that you can just get.
Yeah, that just pokes a hole. This actually pulls out a plug, and then you fill that with something, and that really increases drainage. And
What do you fill it with then?
You can fill it with sand, or you can fill it with some kind of organic material that's a fine.
So that's next level lawn care, Kyle. I've got to take baby steps to get to that.
Definitely, if you have compaction, that will reduce the compaction and really help it. And that's what we did. We aerated this entire lawn, and then we
What other, besides the, checking on the weeds and that, when would you say you fertilize for a lawn like?
Well, right now in the warm season, they're fertilizing every month.
Okay.
And they'll do that all the way into October, close to October, and then they'll start going, once it starts going dormant, then no more nitrogen on it.
Right.
And you don't want to push the nitrogen on it later. There are other things you can do with it. You can spray liquid type things on it, but you just have to be really careful when it's hot and dry. If the grass is not hydrated and you're spraying stuff on it, it can damage your grass. So you have to be careful. But if you've been watering it, it's good. You're good to go on spot spraying. I have goosegrass, which is a grassy weed, and I hand pull it out of my lawn a lot of times. I had a little tool that I could put it out with, but you can spot spray it as well. Okay. I'm sure there's a whole extra set of challenges in being in a public garden like this than just having your lawn, because you've got weddings out here and events, and there are people, I'm sure they dump their ice chests on the lawn and all kinds of things. So you've done a great job keeping this looking beautiful. So kudos to you. We'll be right back with What's Growing On. Welcome back to What's Growing On. I'm back here with Dale of the Dixon. And Dale, I love this combination. This chartreuse of the leaf, really picks up in the salvia, like the kind of the new growth on it.
Yeah, they're kind of the complement of each other too, the blue flower. This is the sweet potato vine, and it's commonly used in containers. And we talked earlier about containers. And so often this plant can be so exuberant, especially when it's really hot.
That's what I was wondering, if this is one you do cut back some, or if you just let it do its thing and see how big it can get.
Well, I think you pretty much have to cut it. And you may notice this as well. Did you see this?
A few little holes, but I was just looking the other way about it. Still looks pretty.
I think there's this flea beetle that attacks this. It's an annual, so we really don't worry about spraying or anything.
Right.
But you can cut it back, and it'll have new growth, and you can cut some of that out. But this is kind of growing everywhere and sort of taking over the planting. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to cut that back.
Oh, wow.
A big, huge chunk there. And then you can go in here and cut these back. You can see the new if you look closely, you see the new blooms starting to come out.
See, that makes sense, though. You're cutting off this new growth that's going to be coming out.
Well, I know, but you cut it back and you'll be rewarded with more blooms.
Okay.
And it'll look great for some of our fall events and going in. It'll take several weeks, but it smells wonderful. It's salvia. This is black and blue salvia, by the way.
Right. And that one, mine comes back, so I don't know, do you plant these as annuals?
Well, I plant them as annuals, but they will come back if you have a mild winter for sure. And we just go through here and sort of trim all these back, and you'll have lots of flowers. This blooms all summer anyway, and you probably get more blooms coming on, even if you didn't deadhead it, but we're going to go ahead and cut it back hard. And then see, I like a little bit of separation here.
Yeah, because it's kind of growing into it.
We're going to dig in here, find the end of this. See, it's all just growing all over each other.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and we'll cut a big piece of that off. And see, this is growing into here. So I'm going to go back in and find where that's coming up and take that out.
Because there's
going to tidy it up because it's going to grow back so fast. There's a lot of root down under there. There's actually sweet potatoes down under there, I'm sure.
What?
Yeah, it's sweet potato vines. So sweet potatoes are underneath there, and so they'll push the growth, and you'll have lots to replace it. But so often I see people plant combinations and planters, and this will take over the entire container if you don't get the shears out and cut it back.
Well, this has been so educational. I've gotten good information. I hope our viewers have too, on how to just make the blooms last longer. And what was your phrase about the pruning?
Yeah,
The
well,
pruning
pruning is not punishment, and growth follows the cut. So that's the old adage. But you also say prune when your shears are sharp. Just don't be afraid to cut.
Yeah.
Especially on annuals,
They're
on
great.
perennials. You cut something back, it's going to reward you with a lot
They're
of new
pretty
growth.
forgiving.
And just keep in mind, the nurseries do this. They keep the plants that you see at the nursery. They've been cut back really hard, and they
Right.
have all that new lush growth that makes you want to buy the plant.
Right. Well, I hope some people come out here and see some of these and enjoy these the rest of the summer and into the fall. What do y'all have going on here during the fall of the Dixon?
Well, in the fall and September, we always have our art on the rocks.
Yes, I've been to that. That's so much
It
fun.
used to be art on tap, and then we sort of transformed it into art on the rocks, which has a
Yeah.
bit more specialty cocktail drinks, as well as
Yeah.
the craft beers that we've always had.
And you're coming out here in the evening when it's a little cooler. You can enjoy the gardens. Yeah.
And so we have that in September, and then in October we have our big fundraiser, Art on Fire, where we put a cauldron out here on the south.
Right, I've been to that one.
People festoon lights and bands, and of course all the SEC football games are projected on the big screen TV, because you can't have an event in the Mid-South without showing.
Yeah, so everybody needs to check the website to get information on those two events coming up. Those are
Absolutely. And then right after that we start, we'll do our pumpkin house of the fall. Which
Yeah.
Always, everybody, I would like to think that people just show up to see all the brilliant horticulture, but we have great attendance numbers with everybody coming to get a selfie in front of our pumpkin.
And I saw it all over social media too.
It takes off on social media. That's a fun thing that we've started. I think this is the 4th year we've done it, and it just keeps getting more and more popular.
Right.
Uh,
And what's great too is, the Dixon, y'all's phrase now is free for good.
Free
So
for
it's free to come. So once y'all have those pumpkins out there, people can come. You don't even have to think about it. You're just, if you're going down park, stop in and just enjoy kind of some of these seasonal things y'all have going on.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to be able to offer free admission, and
Yeah.
the Mid-South needs art and horticulture, and we're providing it.
Right. And is it free to go into the museum too to see the art?
We're entirely a free organization.
So this time of year you can come, and if it gets a little too warm out here when you're enjoying the
Go
beach,
outside and
go
enjoy some
cool
beautiful
off.
art. Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely. And then of course, right after the pumpkins start to fade, and then we disassemble the pumpkin house, then we start planting for our spring display with the tulips. And
Yes.
so I know this year at the MBG you are planting a lot of tulips too. So this is going to be a huge Festival of Blossoms at Park Cherry. So
We're so excited. Yeah.
it's our 50th anniversary here at the Dixon, and so we always plant about a 250,000 tulip bulbs. So we're going to do something special this year, and I think between the Botanic Gardens and the Dixon, we're going to have a lot of blooms.
A lot. It's going to be
So,
crazy. I
thank you.
can't wait. I
We'll
can't wait.
release information a little bit later on, but I'm excited about working with you guys.
Well, and that's a great way to celebrate y'all's 50th anniversary too. So the Dixon is just so great. Such a great place to learn. I'm coming to a Munch and Learn. I've got it on my calendar for next month. So anyway, thank you for all you do to share horticulture with Memphis.
Well, thanks for coming, and thanks for being such great neighbors.
We'll see you next time on What's Growing On.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.